When I was a kid, my mom was obsessed with nuclear war. I mean, obsessed. She talked about it all the time. She read about it. She made us all watch movies about it. She gave speeches. She marched. She held meetings. She organized. I started having nightmares about it. The nightmares marked my childhood. They became a fixture of it. The very last thing we ever did as a family, right before I went off to college, was a road trip to various nuclear silos in Montana. I made a home movie of it.
It's great to be on vacation, isn't it? It's wonderful. Here we are in beautiful Augusta, Montana. We just thought we'd stop and see one of the missile silos where they keep those intercontinental ballistic missiles that keep our country strong and safe and protect us against the ruthless commies. Over there in that hole in the ground there's a Minuteman III missile that has 3 warheads, and it could probably destroy about, I don't know, how many commies do you think that would kill?
How many megatons is it?
I don't know, isn't it about 300 kilotons per warhead, something like that?
About
300 to 475.
So somewhere around a megaton, that'd kill at least 1 million commies. It makes me feel better. I know I can sleep better tonight
a ground burst.
knowing that that missile is in the ground to protect me by holding 1 million commies at bay.
And just like that, the nightmare stopped. And for more than 30 years, they stayed gone. But a couple of years back, right after the election, they abruptly returned. This time worse than ever. I tried everything I could think of to quiet them this time. I started exercising. I started cooking. I practiced meditation. I even tried to remove the nightmares from my brain by putting them on the wall. But nothing helped. The nightmares just got worse. It might seem strange, but I decided there was only one thing left to do. I'd have to quiet them the way they'd worked before. And so I'd take my family on a nuclear road trip. We'd drive together straight into the country's black heart. Because like it or not, we're all on this trip together. Before we hit the road, there was one stop we still needed to make.
Nuclear war, the nuclear war. You're talking about nuclear war. It's a motherfucker. Don't you know? You're talking about nuclear war. You're talking about nuclear war. It's a motherfucker. Don't you know? It's a motherfucker. Don't you know? If they push that button, your ass got to go. It's a motherfucker. Don't you know? If they push that button, your ass got to go. They're talking about nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. If they push that button, your ass got to go. They're talking about this nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. If they push that button, your ass got to go. If they push that button, your ass got to go. Gonna blast you so high in the sky.
We didn't make it very far. On our way to the first missile, the car broke down. While we waited for word on the car, we checked into the only motel in town. Like everything else, the pool was closed. We ate every meal at the only restaurant. My family wasn't exactly happy with me at this moment. All the while, I had a nagging feeling this town was somehow familiar. It was this tree that finally jogged my memory. 10 years earlier, I made a film about the Sand Creek Massacre. Just before dawn on November 29th, 1864, Shivington and his 650 Colorado volunteers attacked an encampment of Cheyenne and Arapaho who were along the banks of Sand Creek, where they were told to camp by the territorial government. The tribe flew both a white flag of surrender and an American flag, as Shivington himself had instructed them to do. Because they assumed the camp to be legally theirs and therefore safe, nearly all the men had gone out hunting. The remaining warriors, teenagers and old men, defended the retreat of the women and children. After massacring the entire village, Shivington's mounted troops then chased after those escaping, killing them as they found them cowering along the frozen creek bed for 5 miles or more. Over 150 Indians were killed in the attack, mostly women and children. 13 of the Colorado volunteers were also killed, but nearly all by friendly fire because of the nearly indiscriminate violence of the attack. The Colorado volunteers had planned to continue their campaign throughout the winter, but instead returned to the muddy streets of Denver to boast of their triumph. Several wore trophies around their necks. Necklaces fashioned of fetuses, and the mutilated genitals of women. In a strange bit of symmetry, our car broke down in Julesburg, which was the tiny frontier settlement that survivors of the Sand Creek Massacre attacked in revenge for what had been done to their families. 15 soldiers and 50 civilians were holed up in the frontier fort, surrounded by hundreds of Cheyenne and Arapaho. Their concept of revenge was a bit different than the white settlers cowering inside. They could have burned down the fort, along with everyone inside, but instead they just burned down all the empty buildings, took what supplies they could carry, and rode out of town. Suddenly I understood something that would have eluded me. That the destruction of Native America and the threatened destruction of the world are the fingers of two hands intertwined. Seize the land with a gun. Turn the land into a gun. Point the gun at everyone's head. Let me move backward before I move forward. As one population with its own family structures, cultural practices, economies, and relationships with the earth, was massacred and deported away, another slowly took its place. For example, fleeing their own long dark shadows, my young parents moved to Denver, where I was born and grew up. Catastrophic violence created, then led us into that world. No matter how else you look at it, one made the other possible.